Hello and welcome to Inside the Hall, where we take you behind the scenes to learn a little bit more about the magnificent cast and characters of this season of Hit Point Hall. Folks, my name is Tilly Steck, and I was your Galactic Game Master for Season 5, Supernova. We are so honored to continue this tradition of collective storytelling on Emerson Channel for a 6th season. We couldn't do what we do without the hours of hard work that everyone on our team pours into this show, or without the love of all of you who continue to watch and support us. So thank you. To tell us a little more about City of Mist, the system we'll be playing this season, we have the lovely Sawyer Ellenberger, who was one of my players last season and is now our current Game Master Jackson's GM coach. Sawyer, we are so excited to have you back with us at Hit Point Hall. How does it feel to be on the other side of things?
Well, I absolutely loved being a player last semester. It was super fun. But I gotta say, being on the other side of things has its own perks. I love being a part of the creative engine and being able to instead of experiencing the story, getting to write certain parts of it and stuff like that. So I've been having a blast.
As we have over the past several seasons, we're showcasing yet another amazing indie TTRPG tabletop role-playing game. This time around, we'll be using the game City of Mist. Last season's system, Starfinder, was built for telling stories of sci-fi adventures and spaceships and aliens. So what kind of stories is City of Mist made for?
So Starfinder, like Pathfinder, is very similar to D&D with classes and stuff like that, where it's more regimented and you play a certain type of character, whereas City of Mist is very open-ended. A lot of it's negotiation with your GM. I think it's Master of Ceremonies for City of Mist. And that's where you create your character, whether it's from you get assigned a rift, which is some sort of mythological or godlike deity or higher power that your character is indebted to or has powers from. And it is a mix between your logos and your mythos. So your logos is how human you are, and your mythos is how attuned to that magical supernatural power you are. And you might lose humanity if you're closer to the rift, or you might have more humanity but less connection, depending on how far on each side of the spectrum you are.
Yeah. So, my gosh, unlike D&D, which depends really on classes and backgrounds, like you said, we're going on personal narratives this season. Can you tell us a little bit more about how the players built out their characters in this system?
So a lot of it is, for example, City of Mist works on a 2d6 system instead of the d20 system that most of D&D 5e and other games use. So because of that, a lot of it is just GM negotiation, where you'll decide in your character creation, what is my character good at? It can be anything that you come up with that obviously your GM agrees with, and you'll decide how good at that particular, they're called tags, that you are, and you'll be able to add that modifier to a given roll. Unlike D&D, even though the GM has some leeway on what is a success and what isn't, generally anything from 7 to 10 is a partial success. Anything from 10 to 12 is going to be very successful or higher, and then anything below that is going to be a partial failure or a full failure. And that will dictate whatever's narratively correct for the GM at that time, what essentially happens.
Cool. So let's say one of these players decide they're going to walk up to a mobster and threaten them with a pocket knife. How does the GM resolve that?
Well, so first of all, the GM would obviously ask them to roll. But before that, they would decide, so say your character is, intimidating. They don't, unlike D&D, they won't just have an intimidation stat, but say your character has fire powers. And if your character can use that to be more intimidating, you could ask your DM, hey, can I add this modifier? I'm going to use this to be more intimidating. And in that case, you can add your modifier. You can stack modifiers too. So if you're bigger or stronger, you could add that to that modifier. There might be some modifiers that take away from it, but that would be more GM specific. But yeah, so it's usually a lot of things in this system are a negotiation. It's a lot more action to action based instead of less gamey in that sense.
Cool. So obviously as a GM coach, you've been working with Jackson to figure out the details of this world and this story. So where does this season come from?
So I have to be careful, because I was told a very specific amount that I can actually reveal. But for this story, it is very noir focused. It's set in a city not unlike New York City, but you're dealing with these different supernatural and natural worlds kind of being at odds with each other and coexisting, or at least attempting to in some spaces. So in that case, you'll have some of our characters might be more attuned to the supernatural world and know more about that, but there we'll also have characters that maybe know little or nothing about the supernatural world, and we'll find out a lot of that over the time of the gameplay. So I mean, through that sense, it's more of figuring out, you're kind of at odds. Again, it's still that dynamic of your humanity versus your supernatural ability and how that interacts.
Yeah, so we're about to move on to chatting with our players this season, but before we do that, where do we find these players at the start of their story, and what can our audience at home expect to see?
So, a little teaser. Obviously, one of our big themes for this season is kind of a mystery, specifically a murder mystery. So hopefully, your characters will find each other in a little bit an incriminating spot and see where you all go from there. Which direction you guys choose to take it.
Amazing. I'm really excited. Sawyer, thank you so much for joining us tonight, but now we're going to move on to our players, guys. It is finally your chance to shine. Welcome to Hit Point Hall. Are we excited? Amazing.
Yes, absolutely.
We're going to kick things off by heading down this line and having you introduce yourselves and your characters. We're going to say your name, who your character is, and how they kind of stumbled into this world of living legends.
Hello, my name is Hayden Murray, and I'll be playing Mick O'Doulahan. And he is your average New York cabbie, Irish immigrant. And the way he stumbles onto his sort of supernatural, larger-than-life powers is that he's cabbying around this mysterious stranger, and then that mysterious stranger gets into a gunfight with an opposing gang or some other person. And in that resulting gunfight, the cabbie goes up in flames, and that resulting shock kind of kick-starts Mick's powers, transforming into the Headless Horseman.
Awesome. My name is Maddie Thompson, and I will be playing Melanie with a Y. Melanie's mythos definitely comes from Aphrodite and the idea of beauty and love from Eros. She's always kind of known about her powers. She was a child star in the rising age of talkies, and now she's sort of figuring out how to navigate this world with this power of beauty that she has. So yeah.
Okay, hi. I have my own. Hi, I'm Michaela McClintock, yeah. And I'm going to be playing a character named Billy. He is a 14-year-old kid who, unfortunately, his parents were killed by robbers. And so he was there, he was trying to protect them, but he wasn't strong enough. And so he asks for power to be to be stronger so that he can defend all of the people who are weak. And so his myth is based off of a Faustian bargain. So the Satan's agent, Mephistopheles, Billy's going to call the demon Muffy because he met him as a very young kid. And so basically the demon comes to help him out during fights and whenever he needs. But the demon's a little bit of a tricky character, so yeah. So that's his myth. Yeah.
Hi, my name's Cole High. I'm very excited to be here, and I'm playing a character named Buck Chandler. He is this rugged hillbilly from West Virginia by the Appalachian region. And he has a sort of a mythological connection to the Mothman. Now, Buck is this hardworking, stubborn everyman, and he works at this steel factory. And one day he's at the steel factory working, and this disastrous accident happens, and maybe steel falls on him, and he seriously should have gotten more hurt than he does, but his Mothman powers save him. And now he's not knowing what to do. He's learning that he has this special power, and he's in a city, and it's nothing like he's ever seen. Yeah.
Amazing. So Say you guys discovered that you had the embodiment of some kind of fable or story in you. What kind of myth would you hope to have?
Thank you. I would hope to have something that would make me able to like learn faster or understand like languages or overcome sort of like social barriers like that. Like if I didn't understand something, I would just be like just downloading information in some way. But knowing me and knowing my luck, I'd probably have something stupid like the guy who jumps over a candlestick or something like that.
Jack.
Yeah, Jack who jumps over
He
the
has a lot of
candlestick.
myths, though.
Yeah, Jack does have Jack the character of Jack is connected to a lot of things, but I'd probably get something kind of lame and something that's not really useful in everyday life, knowing me.
He's a jack of all trades.
Hey, and like that, segue.
Awesome segue. Yeah, I would probably go with the Greek god Hermes. I really love traveling. I've traveled all my life, which is really cool, and I would hope that that would come with some cool benefits like teleportation. I would love to cut down on flying airplanes. Not trains, though. I do love trains. But no, I'd probably have something to do with the god Hermes. Also, he's a trickster god, which I really appreciate. What can I say? I'm a little tricky sometimes. A little bit of a trickster, but yeah.
I think that for me, the myth of Persephone and Hades really resonates with me. Maybe more of like the modern take on it, because the original myths were maybe not that great for them. But I love the idea that people's love for each other makes like the earth go around. And I just think that's very beautiful. So that would be mine.
Awesome. I'm a big fan of the movie Ratatouille, and I also like to eat food. So I would like to have a mythos connected to Remy the rat, and maybe I have these really intense powers where I can make really, really good food. I like when he eats the strawberries and cheese together and it like explodes in his mind. I think I would really love to be able to do that.
Would it just be a you it explodes for, or would it be like everybody else can see the explosion of flavor?
Well, I think it explodes for everyone.
Oh. From what you're eating?
Well, I think I make food that explodes everyone's minds.
Oh,
He's a chef.
Yeah.
okay. It's like
Remy is a
to
chef.
others.
Remy the chef.
Yes, got it.
Yes. Well, I'm the chef. Well, little chef, right.
Petit Remy.
I have to move on, but real quick. One word answer. Would you want to be Remy or Linguini?
Remy.
Okay, so you are okay. Just checking.
I'm pulling the strings.
So, obviously, I shouldn't say obviously, you guys don't have your story superpowers in real life, but how similar or different would you say you are from your characters?
I myself am Irish German, and that's half of what Mick is. And Mick, I made my character. He's a family man. He's got 7 beautiful children. And that's kind of similar to my family. My great-grandmother was one of 12. So I got a ginormous family. And so that's something I'm playing with, of just being like looking out for your kin and stuff like that. How am I different from my character? He's a good driver, and I am a terrible driver. I remember parking in like a CVS parking lot and just throwing it in neutral and then trying to step out of the car while it was rolling back down the hill. So yeah, big family, bad driver. That is the similarity and the difference between me and my character. Also Irish.
I feel like the similarities between Melanie and I, we're both blonde, very blonde. I feel like she's like the definition of the word blonde. Like when you think of blonde, you're thinking of Melanie. And I'd like to think I've got a streak of red in my hair. You know, I'm a bit different than that. But I think she cares a lot about her appearance, and I feel like as a woman, I feel like a lot of women do, and that's kind of something that we're kind of ingrained to think. So I feel like I'm definitely relate to her in that way, and kind of the idea of expectation and what people expect you to be versus what you actually are. So I'm excited to play with that and realize my similarities, as well as that. I think TTRPGs are a good way to like explore yourself. So I'm really excited to see kind of how that comes out and how my similarities and my differences from her come across.
Yeah.
I think I'm thinking of my 14-year-old self, who is like very different than Billy. My 14-year-old self was maybe more full of self-doubt, a little bit emo perhaps. Billy is definitely not emo. He's got like something to prove. He's got like a fire in him. And I feel like that maybe relates to me more now. I definitely feel like maybe I'm more determined now. I feel like I have a goal that I'm working towards. So I relate to that with Billy. But thankfully, my parents are still alive. I love you, Mom and Dad. And that's kind of where I don't have a demon in me, unfortunately. So yeah. Okay.
Buck Chandler, he moves really fast and he talks really fast, and I can a lot of the time find myself in situations where I do that. But I'm not a hillbilly. I'm not 50 years old, and I don't live in West Virginia.
Sounds like neither does Buck anymore. All right, so this is a personal narrative story. This is about characters. This is about story. What themes are you hoping to explore as you find your similarities and differences, as you move on with these characters and work through the mysteries that we have ahead of us?
So as I said earlier, Mick is a immigrant, and just like it's the classic immigrant story coming to the new world to try to make a name for himself, try to make a decent new life for him and his family. And he's doing that. He's starting his own cabbie business, already tough to do as like a born and raised American citizen, exponentialized by being any sort of immigrant. And then you got a ginormous family to take care of. You already have so little money. People are so willing to take advantage of like desperate people. And he's got all of these spinning plates that are going to drop eventually, I think, during these sessions and games we're about to have. So it's something where I like to explore of my character being willing to just not being able to do it all and being able to rely on other people, which I think is another thing that comes along with TTRPGs. You got like the ragtag group of people that are all coming together for a singular goal.
Yeah, I don't know in what other universe Melanie and Mick would be in the same situation with each other, except in a TT. Very different tax brackets. And I feel like Melanie, for the themes that she's kind of exploring, part of her power is that how people perceive her changes on what they find beautiful and what they find attractive. And so I feel like that would really mess with your identity a lot. And I think a big deal of her character is looking in the mirror and not actually knowing who's there. And so I feel like it'll be really interesting to play around with identity and people's perception of you versus your perception of yourself, and how that impacts each other and how that impacts a person over time, especially. So I'm excited to play with that.
Yeah, so for me, I think that Billy really wants to explore morality because his goal is to save good people like his parents, like he couldn't do for his parents. And the question of like who gets to be saved, who's good or bad, is a big question that I think he's going to explore. And also aging is a big thing because he's kind of rushing to grow up, wanting to be like stronger, older, like just better. And but he's still a kid, so maybe figuring out youth and like the meaning behind that.
Awesome. Buck Chandler, I think in a lot of ways is like a classic definition of fish out of water and where he is in this big city. And I think he is going to learn and come to terms with what that means, and the fact that he's lived all his life in this small town and now he's experiencing that there's so much more than he ever could have imagined. And I think it's just going to be really interesting to see someone who's lived so much of their life come to terms with the fact that he really has no idea what's out there.
Yeah. So, to get really serious, what are we most excited for this season?
Oh man, I am really hoping there's a car chase of some sort. I want to be
Blues Brothers.
Blues Brothers, Baby Driver, just dipping and diving through alleyways, hitting a trash can, the garbage going everywhere, the cat is doing like that meow kind of as you're just dipping and diving, running red lights. I'm a sucker for a good car chase, and I got a cab, so I'm gonna make it happen one way or another.
The GM does not have a choice. There will be a Hayden is ensuring there's a car chase. I'm really excited. So Melanie talks like this. She's got kind of a Valley Girl in her before a Valley Girl was a real thing. And this is very much not how I speak in real life. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm really excited to play around with that voice and also play around with kind of how she's very much the fish out of water in this situation with this group of people. And so I'm really excited to play with just how she interacts with the group and also just to get to know you guys better and play with you guys. It's going to be so fun.
That is so awesome. I think, so Billy has kind of like a this kind of voice. And so I'm excited that we're going to both have voices together.
Yeah,
and I'm really excited for the character interactions. And then the demon has like this kind of voice, and it's like, and so I'm excited.
Hey, girl. Hey, girl.
Yeah, but this is gonna be awesome, and I'm so excited for all the characters. Okay, bye.
Yeah, no, I'm like excited is an understatement. I think it's just I'm so excited to like experience the story and see what you guys have for us, because I love just it's so amazing to get to explore this world that's been created and like find all the things that connect, and there's always like that great moment where things come together and it's a big realization, or I seriously can't wait for the story. Yeah.
Amazing. I do have one last question before we run out of time, but I know Hayden wants to do his Irish accent real quick.
Thank you. I also like, does Buck have a voice? Because
You'll see.
oh, okay. Best is yet to come.
Someone knows how to keep a mystery.
Yeah. Well, then I guess I will too.
All
Ben.
right.
All right. Tune in.
So we are going to move on to our last question. We're almost out of time. Hit Point Hall proudly follows in the footsteps of many other incredible TTRPG actual play shows that celebrate the wide variety of things you can do with collaborative storytelling. What do you love most about telling stories like this?
There's so many answers to that, but I'm just going to pick the one that came to mind first, of just being able to, it's basically the world's best hangout, I think. And
with an art department.
With an art department, of course, lovely art department. And it's the world's best hangout, and you joke and you laugh, and sometimes it gets a little intense and there's stakes, and you don't realize how much you care about these characters in the world until it's 5 minutes left of the last episode of Supernova, and you're just sitting there thinking like, oh, okay, when's the next live stream? And then you're like, oh, this is it. And you just got to sit with the realization and just savor that feeling of that little bubble that you got to enjoy for however long it was.
I like that in that answer you complimented me.
I was about to say.
Yeah.
Suck up. No, I've been on both ends of the table. I've been playing TTRPGs for a lot of my life, both as a DM or a game master, as well as a player. And it's something I really love because you get to know people in such a different way than you would get to know them in any other situation. Because it's all about reaction, and it's all about getting rid of your expectations of people and kind of just being able to say, like, what are you going to do if I throw a giant thing of goop at you? We don't know, but that's going to happen in the moment, and you get to know each other on a different level because you're not talking as yourself, because you're extending kind of a different part of you out there, a character. And I think that's so rad. That's awesome. And that's going to be so fun. And that's what I love about this kind of communal storytelling.
Yeah, a lot of what you said, I love that people will like throw different things at you. It really gets me out of my own head when telling stories, and I get to have like instant like reactions to things that are really fun. And I just think it's so fun, and I just love working with other people. I just think that's like such an important thing to do. So yeah,
Yeah, so I love experiencing stories and creating stories, and the thing about this type of storytelling is I feel like it brings those two together in such an amazing way. I mean, we're going to be experiencing this story for the first time, but we're also having an active hand in deciding what happens and changing the story to fit however what we want. So, and I just think it's such an amazing thing.
Folks, that is all we have for you tonight on Inside the Hall. Make sure to follow us at Hit Point Hall on Instagram and mark your calendars for our first episode on March 17th. It's on St. Patrick's Day, so bad luck if you don't watch. I don't make the rules. And you'll see some new accents you didn't get to see tonight. Once again, my name is Tilly Steck, and on behalf of everyone on the Hit Point Hall team, I'd like to thank you for tuning in. Good night.